Okay, so I decided to do another little rant here. Um, Maybe talk about something like the internet. How about that? Um, what is it? What do most people really think? I mean, you started hearing about it, and a lot of people aren't educated about it, and you see these differing opinions about it. That it's just something that was invented by um, Bill Gates, or the founder of Apple or whatever. But it's not. It wasn't Al Gore. It wasn't any of those people. It was actually a defense recon network that got out of control. Sounds like the Terminator, doesn't it? It's kind of goofy. It's really kind of goofy, but and a lot of people won't really believe that, but um, that's what it is. It's it was a part of these protocols that were on the phone lines, and what happened was is BBS bulletin board systems started going up everywhere. This is the way I remember it, and you could pick them up anywhere. I mean, this is when the internet, it wasn't popular. Nobody nobody liked it. When I had a old computer, an IBM AT or an XT back in the mid '80s, it was just this little, you know, 5.1 floppy disks. Well, they weren't little; they were about that big. What do you call them? 5 point? They're 5 point or something. No, then they went to like 3 point something, then 1.44 or whatever. They were the bigger kinds. But yeah, and there were like little games you could play, like RPGs. You know, Nothing like the modern day type Warcraft stuff, which I think is just a big waste of time. Uh, but anyways, nobody was into that kind of stuff. I even used to program a little bit of musical stuff on those old computers, you know, and do little typing programs and stuff. And nobody cared about that stuff at all. And around like 1994, 95, somewhere in there. Well, Windows 95, 3.11, whatever. Um, it started catching on with some people because it was user friendly, because they could see what was going on, and user friendly. And, it wasn't just a black screen, it was something, um, that they could see it, and the people like that user friendliness, being able to see everything, without it just being a black screen. There's nothing really overly technical, and it kind of shows you what to do, and easier to navigate or whatever. But yeah, and I was wondering what was going on, right around then. I was like, oh my god, all of a sudden everybody's into it. I even had older computer type systems even before the mid '80s, and I was always on a command line, messing with stuff, trying to work with programming or whatever and stuff like that. Um, but I guess they had what, Atari systems, where and Super Nintendos where they played stuff like that. But there was always computers, and nobody was really into that kind of stuff. And when the Windows came around, it was more popular. But anyways, the internet. What happened was you had these different types of BBS systems, bulletin board systems, and there would be like these long lists of telephone numbers in the back of magazines that you could pick up, like downtown or at malls or whatever, usually in the inner cities, at the entryways of malls and stuff like that. And there were bulletin board systems where people would just kind of chat at a real low level on those protocols, those low-level telephone protocols. And then what happened is they had so much information amassed on these bulletin board systems, and it started to get more visual with the Windows. They started forming ISPs, what are basically internet service providers. And from there, what they would do was lease space from the telephone companies, lease telephone lines, and basically set up user accounts so people can log into them. And it was more at a low level then. It wasn't really visual and it wasn't really well put together, but there were low-level ISPs, and they started to charge money for them, and people would join these ISPs and pay money for them, and then they'd pay the telephone companies for the telephone, line capacity or speed or whatever, baud rate, I think it was, something like that at the time. And I don't know all the total technical terminologies, but I don't even remember. But when the speed started to get more, they just started, upgrading that kind of stuff, and they knew there was money to be made, and there was all these different ISPs forming everywhere, charging money, and that's why I was saying it got out of control. There's these protocols at a low level that are once used for, defense recon going way back, but then people started using them, and then when, it's related to the telephone, and I really don't think that it was meant to be to get into the mainstream like it did totally. I don't think it was totally planned. They may have known about it, but it was all telephone company related. But see, you have so many people doing it then, so many ISPs charging people money, and this is business expansion and money, for the economy or whatever, and the ISPs basically took over, and it was just like the ISPs got out of control, and it's just like the machines got out of control. It's just, there it is. I mean, that's basically Terminator. It's just the beginning of it, really. And the more that technology progresses like that, all of a sudden it will just happen. It's all of a sudden, the Skynet went up and the machines were in the air and they got out of control because they got programmed that way and there was no way to stop them or whatever. I know that sounds pretty far-fetched, but if you got 30,000 drones flying above your head and they all go on automatic pilot, you basically got a Skynet. So, I don't know. I don't want to get off onto some creepy kind of a tangent there. I don't like to get too deep into the political and creepy stuff there. I don't want to creep you out too bad. But, anyways, that's my little rant on the internet. And trying to think of what else I could talk about on that same line, along those same lines. I could probably go 20 minutes on this like I did my last video. Maybe shift gears a little bit. Talk about maybe something a little more political. All right. How about the way the system is designed? That computer keeps cutting out here. It goes dark and nobody touches it. So how about the way the system is designed? A lot of people don't really think about this. This is something that's kind of interesting. Um, like somebody posted something about gas prices. One of my old acquaintances, there on Facebook, and it was something about what they're charging here and what they're charging there, and this is just way too much, and we all know that, when it's 4 something a gallon or whatever, and then, people start bitching about it. Oh, it's cheaper over here, and I can't believe what these guys are charging. But the reality is, if you look at it from the top down, that's the way it's designed. And they know that. They're going to it's not the you'd think that it would be like a gas station here and a gas station there would be like charging more, that stuff called price gouging, where they'll charge like exorbitant amounts, and then the other guy over here, why is he so much cheaper? And then you think it might be greed or whatever, but the reality is it's where they're getting it from, the supply and demand, and the people above them from the top down, and they know exactly, those people at the top, what it would take to keep the consumer down, to milk them for all they can, without totally bleeding them out where they can't even drive a car anymore, which is it's gotten pretty close to that. But it's designed so that they'll take it as far as they can take it. So and it keeps the average person down. And a lot of stuff's like that. It's there's a certain limit, and it's over the limit, obviously, and they know how far they can take it, but how far beyond that can they take it? It's all designed this way, when you have, I think it was something like, I think the figure was like 42,000 or 40,000 empty houses for every person that's homeless. So that's kind of weird. I mean, you have 40,000 empty houses for every homeless person, or was it, I don't know, 40 or 60, or it was just a really high number. Pretty sure it was like 42 or something thousand houses for every homeless person. I mean, what's happening there? Is that, you may think that's inflation, and you might think that's greed, but then if you look at it from the top down, it's kind of who's at the top. This is where it all begins. Shit flows downhill, and so what are these people supposed to do over here? When these people up here are doing this, so these people down here are charging this much for this, and these people down here can't afford that. And then you have, if you look at the scale of between rich and poor, you start over here at poor, and it goes all the way across to, like on a graph, and it's just like this all the way across, the poor and the middle class, and the upper middle class is like this, and then when you get to the very end, then the rich are like you can't even fit it on there, barely, like this certain smaller percent. I don't know if it's like 2% or something, but it's just like, it's crazy. And then over here, this like 1%, it's just like this solid block on a graph, and just like you couldn't even fit like 5 or 10 of those one slivers for the main rich into this like 1%, and then you could like stack that like as high as, you know, if they like actually stacked the cash. I've seen these videos where they had like depictions and it was on pallets, and it'd be as high as like a couple skyscrapers or something. I mean, can you see the balance there? I mean, it's just, it doesn't, that's either it's designed that way or it doesn't make any sense. What sense does that make? It doesn't, you know, when the line, here's the poor, that doesn't even register, and the middle class are still like that, and the upper middle class is still like that. Then the rich, then this giant block. I mean, it's just, and the rich and the, it's just like this, and then like this, and all the way across. And it just, and then you, and what makes it even wackier is when you see the mainstream media always talking about equality and inequality, and you know, sympathetic type stuff they push in the mainstream. They can use entertainment to do it, music, whatever, movies, whatever, entertainers or whatever, and they're all just paid, you know, and you know the news stations or whatever, the mainstream news, you know, I'm not going to name any names, but it's all rigged that way. It doesn't make any sense. And before I totally lose my train of thought on that, I think I'm going to stop, because this is long enough, and I'll continue it later. So there you go. Maybe I'll do some kind of rant on I don't know. Maybe men and women. How about that? Something, you know, men and women, chauvinism and feminism or something like that. I'll make another video about that, about men and women. Men are from Pluto, and women are from Venus. I know it was Mars, but we might as well be on the planet fucking Pluto. So I'll get to that one. This is almost 20 minutes, it looks like. I think I'll just stop it right here. So, alright, see you next time. Okay.